Hi guys, in today's review we're looking at the keyboard. And that's right, this is the IBM Model F XT, which debuted in 1981 for the IBM, if I can get this right, 5150 and, or no, 5150, 5160. However, this one's actually in 1986, which makes it rather late. I had this professionally restored by the person I bought it from, but then I also decided to accompany it with some Unicomp gray keycaps, which I had for one of my boards. I think it suits it pretty well, to be honest, along with the sort of industrial paint scheme I decided to outfit this thing with. I also have a box for this thing. However, this didn't come with this keyboard. This actually came with a Epson Q203A that I bought, and it was shipped directly in this. So that explains the shipping label in the upper right corner. But at least I kind of saved this box, and until I would get an FXT, so then I'd have somewhere to nicely store it. So I guess it's nice to have it together. I decided to splurge on this as a present for myself for graduating college. So this was $130 for a fully restored FXT. And yes, it does have some new foam in it. So this thing is good for another 40 years. This thing is almost. But yeah, this thing is an absolute unit compared to everything else I have. And it's so tough and heavy. They're even just trying to pick it up with one hand like this is just too heavy to do. I mean, the build quality is amazing. It has a pretty tough outer plastic case, and then a metal back plate. You have two bolts on the corners to take it off. You have these spring-loaded flip-out feet if I can demo it. Because at least this one has both intact. They're known for... I don't know if I can do it with the camera, but they're known for kind of coming off sometimes. I don't think I can do it. I also had the guy put on a couple of these little pads, otherwise it would scratch my desk all over the place. Okay. The spacebar in these things is extra stiff, which I wish I could swap out, but it's really not easy to do so. I mean, it's pretty easy to take the back off and take the assembly out, but then the metal tabs are so tough to take the rest of the thing apart that I just gave up on trying to swap the spacebar. Spring out or whatever. And being a Model F, that means it has the capacitive buckling springs, which feel nicer and crisper, and that is definitely true. Okay, I got out my Unicomp to compare, and as you can see, these are the original FXT caps. I've heard people say that the key feel of the F's is lighter than that of the M. Well, yes, that's true. It was definitely not as light as I was expecting. It is still, it still feels pretty substantial and very smooth, of course. It is lighter than my. Didn't put that back together properly. It is lighter than my Lexmark M, but however, the weighting is actually very close to this Unicomp. Switch hands here. Because in my video reviewing both of the M's, this Lexmark, or his Unicomp was lighter than my Lexmark. Now I feel like this is actually a tiny bit lighter than this, although these two are actually both very close in weighting for me. Which I found is interesting. But of course the M sounds better, because if it's all mainly plastic assembly. Yeah. The original caps are actually pretty similar to the Unicomp caps, the one-piece type. Although with, yeah, very sharp die sub-legends. You can put it in the sunlight. You can get a look of how sharp it is. Also, these original keys don't have any homing bumps. And then, taking a look at the Unicomp cap, it has some extra little mold marks in the corners and in the bottom center. The printing isn't quite as sharp, but it's actually still very good. Now the layout is quite different from a normal keyboard these days, but it's not that bad once you get used to everything, though. The, well, quote-unquote 2-unit backspace is actually not a problem. Even with the key top mounted in the middle, that's easy enough to use. The vertical enter is a little bit annoying because it's like so small and easy to mispress it. The real problem I have is the split left shift being an ISO thing, and when I use the left shift, I always press it like here, so I don't have to reach all the way to, this far, but this one thing drives me up the wall, though. I would prefer to have a tiny backspace key than a tiny left shift. Oh man, I cannot stand that, personally. And in some ways it does have some improvements, I think, compared to the AT layout, with escape being here in the natural position instead of, over here on the XT layout. And even with the tilde key moved here, that's, not bad. It doesn't have the useless system request key over here like the AT layout has. I mean, honestly, it's, all the keys are still there, except F11 and F12, but, yeah. The control key, is here, but for gaming, it's actually not bad. It's actually quite comfortable, especially because I still play Minecraft a lot, even after 11 years. Using this to sprint, having control right here, it's actually very comfortable than having to reach all the way down here all the time. So that is one benefit of the control here, and there's people that still really like to have it there. But yeah, just another thing to really get used to with this. And it does use a beautiful, nicely long and thick coiled cable with the 5-pin DIN plug. And of course for this one it speaks XT. And you do have to use it with one of these modern source converters, because it won't work through anything else really. And also that it doesn't have lock lights because it's the XT protocol. You can do something like this. What I've done in my Linux setup is like put actual num and caps lock indicators on the screen, and that's an easy workaround to that little issue. I like to use it as as verification that the keyboard is on and working all the time, and that's why I have numlock on in addition to numlock off being useless. So that works pretty good. Finishing off here, I think this thing looks fantastic. having getting a restored one of these, and it works so well, and it's fun to use, although a bit pingy, but that is kind of a novelty in the character of these things. Definitely built to last forever, and I'm confident it would last forever. I mean, the thing is, this specific one is almost 40 years old, and it would easily go another 40. But aside from missing, 2 F keys and maybe a few other things here, it's really not that bad. Can't complain about this nice badge too. But yeah, that will wrap it up for this one. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and that'll be it for this video.